guys, so today I'm going to be doing a KILLSTAR haul, and it's all things which I bought in November 2015. So I'm going to begin with dresses, and I've bought 3 dresses this month. So originally I bought this doll dress from KILLSTAR, and it is very simple. It's just a black sort of skater style skirt, and it has a white collar and some white buttons, and it sort of cinches in at the waist with some ribbon. And I got this because it reminded me of Wednesday Addams. Now, a couple of weeks ago I got an email from KILLSTAR about some new items that they brought out, and there was a whole tie-dye section. And I noticed they sold what looked exactly like these dresses, but in 2 different tie-dye colours, so you could either sort of get a grey sort of blue colour or a purple. Now in the picture the dress looks like it's covered in this sort of tie-dye pattern, but when I received this dress I was slightly disappointed at the fact that there isn't really that much sort of this tie-dye pattern on it. There's quite a lot on the sleeves, but on the actual main front of the dress, which is the bit you see the most of, there wasn't that much. I also noticed that the material is a lot thicker on these dresses, and that's not an issue because in the UK it is very cold at the moment. It is the middle of winter, but it was just a difference to the original dress, as I thought I would just be getting sort of another version of this. But it is a lot more sturdy, and the collar is also a slightly thicker material. Now, another thing which I was slightly disappointed about this dress is that it's a lot shorter than the original Wednesday dress which I bought, and this isn't a massive issue. It just means that I kind of have to think more about what I'm wearing, like a longer cardigan, just because this one's a very good length, but this one's just slightly too short for me, and I am 5'4". Other than that, I absolutely love this dress, and it's a great quality. There's no sort of pulls or loose strings or anything like that. And these dresses are definitely true to size. Now, I got this one in a size large and it fit perfectly, so I did get this one in a size large also. Now, due to the fact that the material of this dress is slightly thicker, it does actually hang a lot nicer than the original dress which I got. The original one I get sometimes gets sort of ruffled up around my hips, but this one does just fall very nicely and evenly. If you haven't watched my previous KILLSTAR haul, you may not have actually seen my review and my description of the original dress I showed you, and as this one is exactly the same, I will just show you again. It does have a zip down the back which goes all the way down, and it ends sort of at the small of the back. Now, these zips, all the ones I have got, are functioning absolutely fine, and I do find they're quite awkward, so you may need someone to do your zip up for you. But what I normally do is I normally do half of it behind me, and I have to do the top half sort of going over. It is quite awkward, but it does mean you get a really nice sort of tight collar, which is something I do really look for when I'm buying these sort of white collared dresses, just because if they were bigger so that you could put them over your head, they would look very baggy and they wouldn't look as effective as a collar. So I'm not gonna lie, when I got this one I was slightly disappointed in the colour. It did look a lot more vibrant in the picture, so I did end up going and buying the purple tie-dye version as well. And as you can see straight up, this purple one has a lot more tie-dye on the front compared to this one, and it is consistent all the way through the dress and also on the back. I also think that the purple and black is definitely a better colour combination, and it shows up really well. Again, this dress is absolutely identical to this one in material, in length and in size. Now, I'm not sure if they actually use tie-dye to create this pattern, but what I can tell you is that it is all done on one large piece of fabric, so it is done before the actual dresses are constructed. So in some places you do get the tie-dye getting cut off just where it has the seams of the dress. Now, this isn't anything which bothers me because I think it just adds to the sort of blotchy effect, but it isn't done after the making of the dress. It is done before the dress is actually constructed. And again, I have found this dress quite awkward to wear just because of the length, so I am having to wear shorts under this dress, just because sometimes, especially if it's windy or if you're trying to bend over and do something, it can be quite unflattering. Now, last but not least, in the dress department, I did get another sort of black dress with a white collar. You may have seen a theme for this month. But this is one which has been on the KILLSTAR website for quite a long time. You probably know KILLSTAR dresses are very expensive and you do kind of need to sort of invest in them. But they are very high quality, and none of the KILLSTAR clothing which I've got yet has actually broken or worn away. So it is all really good quality and it is worth spending the extra money on. So I have seen this dress for a while and I've kind of had it in and out my basket constantly. But I decided that I might as well just buy it, as I was buying lots of dresses with white collars anyway, so I thought I might as well complete the set. Now this material is completely different and it is more similar to the original doll dress which I showed you. It's a lot thinner, it's a lot lighter, but it is a lot longer, which means that it does sort of pull the material down and make it hang really nicely. And the length of this dress is perfect. It's not too long. It still kind of looks like a short dress, but it's not so short that you have to worry about wearing shorts or constantly sort of pulling it down as you're like doing daily activities. And again, just like the other dresses I've shown you, it does have the 3 buttons down the front which are not functioning, and again a zip at the back that goes all the way down to the small of the back. Now this dress is very light and flowy and it's definitely slightly more comfortable to wear than the tie-dye ones which I had just shown you. And this print I think is absolutely adorable. It is stars, moons and suns, and the suns and the moons have skull faces on them. Now I know that they do this print on t-shirts, they do also do it on another dress, and I think possibly maybe leggings, but I've always sort of been drawn to this style of dress with this print. They do also do crop top version. Now I bought this crescent moon with the skull face in the form of a patch probably about 6 months ago, and it was just when they bought the patches out onto the site originally, and unfortunately I did lose it, so I was quite bummed about that, but I did sort of buy it as an alternate to buying the actual dress because it is the moon, which I do really like. But now I have it on a dress and it's a lot harder to lose a dress than a tiny little patch. Now another thing I just quickly wanted to mention about KILLSTAR products, because I originally didn't notice this when I started buying from KILLSTAR, but on the actual labels themselves, on the back they do have quotes, and this one says, "Poor are those who have eyes but cannot see." And there are also different quotes on the other dresses. So on the tie-dye dress it does say, "May the bridges I burn light the way." So they are all quite sort of deep quotes, I guess you could call them. But I think it is just a very nice touch which KILLSTAR add to their clothing, which is sometimes missed just because it's not sort of straight away obvious to see when you get the garments of clothing. So I did pay full price for all of the dresses I got, and this next item, which is a pair of joggers, I did actually get in the sale and they were around half price. So on the back of the joggers it does say KILLSTAR. It has a very stretchy waistband, but it also does have some pull ties, so if you want to make it slightly tighter then that is available. And again, it's a very sort of thick and warm material, and at the bottom, which I didn't notice from the pictures, the actual bottom of the leg cinches into more like a stretchy, I just guess it's like the end of a cardigan or a jumper, and it kind of cinches in and it has this functioning zip. Now I didn't realise that they came with this feature, and I don't know if I would have bought it if I had noticed, just because I find having zips sort of around my ankles is very annoying, especially because I spend a lot of time sitting cross legs. It does sort of dig into my leg. But I have worn these a lot and it hasn't really caused too much of an issue, so I am glad that I bought them. Thickest and the warmest joggers going, but they definitely do the trick. They are just one layer of material, they're not lined or anything like that, but they are perfect for sort of autumn coming into beginning of winter. The stitching on the back also goes all the way through, so you can actually see it on the inside, and it is very solid. There's no sort of loose threads or anything like that. It's definitely sort of secured in there. It's not going to sort of pull or catch on anything. I also prefer the fact that this is actually stitched in, because it means that it's not going to sort of crackle or peel off, because especially when you're wearing something over an area which is slightly going to be stretched, like the chest or your bum, like it does cause plastic transfers to crack because so much strain is put on them. But because this is sewn, it doesn't really matter how far you stretch it, it's not going to ruin the design. The only thing that does slightly annoy me about it is that in the centre of the T and the S of KILLSTAR, there is a little black line, and this is actually attaching the label inside of the joggers. Now I am considering unpicking these two black lines, just because I know it's not really noticeable, but when I look at them it does just really stand out as something which breaks up the whole black and white letter arrangement. Another thing about these joggers is that they are 100% cotton, which I think is really good when you're buying clothes, because it means that you can sort of breathe and you're not going to get too sweaty, as some sort of more synthetic materials do end up getting really hot and uncomfortable to wear. So the next items I got are not clothing, they are patches and pins. Now it's going to be quite hard to show you these, just because I have got some of them already on a jacket and some of them loose. So first I got this crescent moon patch, and it is an iron-on patch, so you can apply it onto a material just by ironing it, but I do prefer to sew patches, just because I do find, especially with iron-on patches, they do end up peeling after a while, and I think it's a lot less effort just to sew it on and not have to worry about it coming off ever again. And this is the same crescent moon which is on the sort of moon skull dress. Now, as I said, I have bought this patch before, but I lost it. I have no idea where it went. It was just on my side one day and then it disappeared. So I had a good look for it, and in the end I did just buy another one. They are relatively cheap, so it wasn't too much of a worry. They are of a good material. The actual material is white, and then the black is stitched on top to create all the details. So the second patch I got was this cat one, and again it has a crescent moon on it. Now I am a sucker for anything black cats, so when I saw this I thought it was really cute. I do have a black and white yin yang cat design patch, which is actually on one of my other hoodies, and I have got a video sort of quite a while ago on my channel which was just me showing you a hoodie which I'd customised, and there are loads of KILLSTAR patches on that, so if you are interested in seeing other KILLSTAR patches I will link that video below. But this was a new cat patch which they brought out, and I thought that this would go really nicely with my collection. And the last patch I got I've actually sewn on to my jacket, which I feel goes really nicely sort of central on a piece of clothing, and this is sort of a symmetrical bat, and then it says KILLSTAR in the middle. Again, this was an iron-on patch, but I did sew it on just because I thought, especially in this placement where I have my hair down my back and things are going to get caught on it and it's going to end up stretching and peeling, I thought it was a lot easier just to sew it on. I do appreciate sewing onto leather can be really sort of time consuming, and it can cause a lot of handache. I especially get sort of pains in my fingers from sewing onto leather, but if you iron it on first and it sticks down, then you can just sew at your own pace. It doesn't matter if you only get halfway, you can finish it off and you won't have half the patch just flapping around. So recently KILLSTAR has brought out 3 sets of 4 pins, so they have 12 pins altogether, and annoyingly I wanted like 2 pins from each set, so I did end up buying all 3 sets. I have actually put them onto my jacket, so I will be showing you them on the jacket, but they did come on these cards, so I got 3 of these cards and they had 4 pins on each one, and it was just a little flap so you could just pull it off and then put it onto whatever you wanted to. So I will insert the sort of product pictures that are on the site now so you can see which ones come in which set, because this is going to be slightly jumbled. So the first 2 pins which I'm going to show you, they are not on my jacket, they're on a different piece of clothing, so I thought I would just show you these ones first. So the first one I got was this one, and it does look like Scrabble pieces. Now it is slightly censored, as you can see, but the kind of general consensus of what it's meant to say is obviously visible without it being too offensive. I don't really like this pin that much. I don't really like the saying or find the saying relevant to me at all. But it's on a lot of their tops and t-shirts at the moment, and that is probably why it came in this set. So the rest of the badges are on this leather jacket. So I will just sort of go clockwise and just show you. So each of these badges are black with white on them, and this one is a McDonald's theme one, so it says McGoth, and it has a bat in the shape of an M. I do like this mainly because of the bat rather than the actual writing, but I do eat at McDonald's, so it is still relevant. The next KILLSTAR pin I have is this one. It's very simple. It is just a black and white eye. I know that they do this as a patch, and I believe they do also make a bag version of it. I think it is very simple. It's not my favourite pin, but I do still really like it. So then next up is this sad face, and I put it next to Jack Skeleton just because I thought that it looked quite cool having two faces together. And this again is sort of with their sad theme, and as I said, like, there were only a couple of pins which I really liked in each set, and this was one which kind of came along. I didn't really feel anything for it, but it does kind of go with the theme, and I put it next to this one that says Nobody Cares, which is meant to look a little bit like a Love Heart Sweet, and underneath it does say in very small writing KILLSTAR. This doesn't really bother me at all. I don't mind having branding on my pins, but it is something that you can't really see too clearly in the pictures. And then going further down, there is also this one from KILLSTAR, and it says So Goth I'm Dead, and this is on quite a few items of their clothing. So this was one of my favourite pins which came in the sets, and this one says Does This Black Match? And I thought this was quite funny because it is something which I do commonly think or say during my day when I'm just wearing clothes, because I don't know about you, but I have a lot of different shades of black within my wardrobe, and the longer I've had items and the more I've washed them, the lighter black they become, and I do get really frustrated when I'm wearing something that's new and it's really deep black and the thing underneath it looks almost grey because it's faded so much. So this next one is one which I really love. It says shopping rule, and then it says if it's not black, put it back. And this was sort of the main reason why I bought this set of badges, because I thought this was really funny, and it is definitely a motto which I live by. So there is also this patch that says We Are the Weirdos, Mister, and this again is on a beanie that they do. It's also a patch they sell, and I believe they do a bag or a t-shirt version of this, and I really like this design, and I love the fact it's got a black cat in it. And this patch, I'm sorry it's not censored if any of you find it offensive, but this one is again one of their t-shirts and one of the quotes that they use quite often. They do also put it on their promotional cards. And last but not least is this pin, and it is meant to look like a church that's on fire, and it's got a couple of stars in the corner and a crescent moon. Not that crazy about this badge, but it does tie in with all of the other ones which I got from KILLSTAR. That is everything I bought from KILLSTAR this month. I know I did buy quite a lot, but I prefer to sort of buy in bulk, and then I don't have to pay for shipping, because after a certain amount of money the shipping is free. Again, I will link all of the clothing items and the pins and all of those things below. I will also link my previous KILLSTAR haul in the description below, because it had a really large range of different clothing items. I know that this one is more just dresses and jogging bottoms, so it's not really that varied. And in regards to this jacket, if there were any pins that you got a glimpse of which you want to know any more detail about or where I got them, I am hoping to make a video very soon, just sort of giving you a little tour through the jacket which I made. I hope you have a good week. I know this haul did take quite a long time to film, but I was just waiting for this second half of my order. If you got any questions, please leave them below, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye!